So here I got the 10-day chart, 5-minute candles for WWR, Westwater Resources Inc. So we could draw a clear, easy uptrend here. That we can see we're in. Let's talk about the reason why. So a company called PLL got news of a deal with Tesla, and they do lithium. So it set the sector on fire. So look at this huge move right here. I mean, under $10 or around 10 to over 50 at one point. So it's another example. Here's LAC, another similar one. So the energy lithium sector is on fire. So it's a sympathy play. So it actually spiked all the way up to 230 and pulled back to then bounced off that 150 and ultimately bounced all the way up to here to around 380. Then came back and tested this $2 level. Continue on the uptrend. So we're going to talk about the first point that really would really wait for if I was going to be bullish on this would be the 320. Not only is it the uptrend, I got last week's action on the 5-day with all my price targets. So here we are at 4. The $4 needs to hold. So I mean, if you're gonna blow over 4, you better have tight risk management. I'd say under 4. I wouldn't let it bleed on me. But the next level underneath that, I'd say would be 350 right here. So after that, I'd be waiting for a bounce off 350. If 350 doesn't hold, my next one's going to be right here at 330. It's kind of close, but that's what the chart's telling me. 330. The 330 breaks. Let me get it out of there. I'll be looking for a bounce off this 3. A lot of price action went on here last week. So if 3 doesn't hold, I'll be looking for a 270. A bounce off 270. And I'll be looking for bounces off to the level above it that I just deleted. So from 270, I'd be looking for a bounce off 3. If it can break the 3, I'd be then looking for 320, right? Because resistance becomes support, support becomes resistance type of situation. So if 270 breaks, my next one's going to be 230. That's this one right here. 230 breaks, I'll be looking for the bounce off 2. But as we talked about, the 320 right there was a support, right? As well as being on this uptrend. So I think that's the first real level. I want to chase over here above 4, to be honest. But if it holds, if it becomes support, the next level would be 440, where it's pretty heavy at. You could say it's heavy at 422 from last week, but from Friday. But 440, it'd be heavy as well. It's going to be heavy here at 470. It'll be heavy at 5. And it'll be heavy at 530. As you can see, the way I played this was after stock goes parabolic, I like playing the bounces. So after it ran to that 380, as you can see, was it on the 29th? I said adding heavy under 210 here. So as we go back and look at that, so on the 29th would have been right here, under 210. This is that line. So let's think about this. In this whole downtrend, there was just this little moment right here, under 210, and that's when we would have loaded if you'd follow my alert. And I would have sold in this bounce, because that's dang near almost 15-20%. But you could, if you had swung it and got lucky, you could have got up here. But as you see on Friday, I say short over 530, right? So let's go back on the day action, and let's do a line of 530 to show you what we're working with here. Boom. Look at that. Exactly, caught it exactly at the top. It's at $4, so that's $1.30 off of 5. So we're talking over 20%. So that's how we played it last week. people following my calls on the stock twitch. But going back into the fundamentals, they had as of August 5th, they had 7.5 million shares that you can see really quickly. So I noticed first their cash went up, but they got a net loss, right? It's a little bit less, but barely. So they don't have a good company fundamentally. What they have is 7.5 million shares. So when we go back and we look on the daily chart at the whole year, we can see what happened. It got hit with 80 million shares one day. It got hit with 101 million another day. So the shares are completely rotating, and shorts are getting squeezed. So I actually did the same price targets on the 1 year, and they all match up, as you can see. I actually got the 250 here. I didn't have that on the other one. You could put that between the 270 and the 230. But that's kind of a given always, that psychological break, the 250s and the 2s and the 1s and the 150s. So 250, you can see the 2 here. You can see the 3 here, the 320, the 350, the 4. So the 200 SMA is at 193, 195, right? So ultimately, I think that's gonna be rising next week, but I think ultimately it's gonna go down to that under the $3 level, maybe to that $2 level, and test it ultimately once this momentum dies. Because as we can see, they're losing money, and if you go into their last filing, the last 10Q here, it says as of June 31st, they have their cash balance is 2.9 million, right? And it's going on and on about how much more dilution they have. So they have $12 million right here. So it's $9.7 million remaining in this S1. And look, 19.5 remaining sales capacity in this S3. So they're just living off dilution. But since it has such a low flow, that it can continue to go up for the short term. But I want to expect this to be a long term, especially at these prices. So I'm expecting to bleed eventually down to the 2 in the next week or so. But I'm going to play the bounces off these levels, particularly the 320, the 3, the 270, the 230, and the 2. Back up to the previous support that it just broke, where I'll expect it to fail, and I'll just take profits and look to load at that same one I just loaded at to do the same play, rinse and repeat type of play, or load lower. So as you can see there, continuously as of 9:25, here's the S1. They're talking more about how someone just bought, offering at 146. So someone was buying companies at 140, shares at 146. The big money was, and now here people are going to be buying and holding overnight at $4. It's not a good plan, in my opinion. So let's look for that pullback and let's play the bounces, make some money here.